Your habits tell you a lot about who you are.
This day and age with social media, they take it so serious so early. Like if you don't jump on it when you're 8 or 7 or 9, you're gonna be behind.
There's gonna be ups and downs. You know, you're gonna have an injury. You're gonna be set back, or somebody comes in and takes your spot, and you gotta fight for it. There's always something that's gonna happen that's gonna push you back. But if you stay in it long enough, i.e., I put 80,000, now I'm over 600. You know, I'm telling you, that's life.
It's great to train great players or to see players go to the NBA or do great things, but the foundation that no one will know is.
So when I talk to Des about having these conversations, one of the big things I've thought about is like when you watch an athlete's journey, there's so many, like, there's a term undulation. Like there's just so many like peaks and valleys, right? And a buddy sent me a podcast with Fournette and I think Jarvis Landry, receiver. And they were talking about the transition out of sport. We talked about this a little bit when we talked. And what it was like and how hard it is for athletes when they transition out of the sport.
Man.
And I look at that and I go, man, I wonder if the transition out of sport wouldn't be so bad if their sort of entry into the sport was like more healthy. Right?
And I took it a step further when he said that their upbringing.
Yeah.
So I mean, their entry to the sport is one thing. And then, you know, for me, I've been blessed to have my dad and my mom to set the foundation. Because when we receive some of these kids in the entry phase, their entry is different than someone else's because of how they were brought up.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes, you know, there are so many dynamics in regards to how someone's raised. And obviously, like, I've gotten to see it, like having spent time with you all at the facilities and how close y'all are. But when I think about a ton of athletes, and not just athletes, just a bunch of people who are from the kinds of neighborhoods that we're from. Yeah. The absence that's often there. Like I was watching, I remember watching the video. There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he goes by Destroying online, and he's and he runs these one-on-ones all around the country. Okay. And when he gathers these guys up, you know, he talks about how they want to do it for their mamas, you know. And I go, yes and amen, for sure. You know, and shout out to all the women who are like raising like great young men and like having to endure that. Like, like the work that it takes for a single woman, or like what moms go through, like, you know, KD's mom and like the very present mothers. But the fact that in so many cases, fathers are absent. And then again, I meet Des, we're doing these runs, I'm shooting them, he's training them, you know, and you're a very present father. That's definitely a thing that came up in our conversation of like, man, what did that do? And how did that impact, again, like his trajectory, not just as a trainer, as a man. And then you have Jordan, Marcus, your wife, like that entire family dynamic and how you've created that. That's definitely the impetus of this conversation, but also like what that means for athletes as you're training them, as you're thinking about, like a lot of them don't have the same stable home structure, right? But they're still going to become very successful athletes, a lot of them, right? And so that's what I mean when I say their path already has these like peaks and valleys, but then they transition out of the sport not having the foundation that often is at home. And how does that then, how do you sometimes fill some of those potholes, right? And I think sometimes that's what a trainer does in many cases, where it's like, it's not always where you start, it's where you finish, right? And then how can you bring other men into their lives, the right women into their lives, the right structure into their lives, the right team into their lives, so that they enter the sport with just better footing, not believing that the sport is their purpose. Because that's often the issue. It's like, yo, man, I'm here to win this chip. That's all that matters. But it's a goal. It's a clear North Star. It's a mission, gives you focus. That's super important. But then you get the chip. And maybe you get another one. So, right, it's just like, okay, I just need to keep winning that chip. And that's the thing that satisfies me. Right. But then when the basketball stops, or when the football stops, or when whatever the sport is, when it stops, something changes, because it's like, I'm still here, but I'm not doing this thing anymore. What am I here for? And that And again, depression or worse comes from that. So that was really that's the context for a lot of this conversation. That's where like a lot of where I'd love to start.
Well, I heard you speaking, and I wanted to jump in 10 times. What you're talking about is absent fathers, and how, at the beginning, I mean, for me, as I grew up, I had a great dad, loved my father, but there was a lot of things that were missing. There wasn't a lot of in-depth conversations. There wasn't a father that was there that, understood what it was to be an athlete, the in and outs. And so when I became a dad, I said, man, I had a great dad, but I want to do all the things that he didn't. And there's a thing called a generational curse. And I think many men are living with the things that they had nothing to do with, that their fathers and the fathers before them had. And breaking that chain is one of the things that I see is needed. Chris Rock, every Father's Day, I send these guys a video of Chris Rock, and he talks about dads and how dads are always, all they get is the big piece of chicken. It's like, hey, Daddy, thank you for the lights. You don't ever hear that. Or, Daddy, man, it sure is warm in here. Thank you for the heat. And so I think a lot of men, are feeling like they're left out, and the moms, like if you look at the church now, I mean, there's more women in the church than men. And when you're talking about what are we going to do as an athlete afterwards, man, that's why I started this school. I started a prep school called Iron Prep Academy, and I wanted to do it so I could affect young men going into the 7th and 8th grade before they get into high school and give them a solid foundation about what it's going to be like after you get out of the game of basketball. So many times these young men, their whole life is built around the sport, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, and they have nothing else after. They're looking at Instagram, they're seeing everything on Instagram, and their worth is on Instagram. I haven't seen a guy miss a shot on Instagram yet. And these guys are thinking it's so important on where I'm ranked, all these different things. And so in my program, I have an entrepreneur program. These young men have gone 4 weeks into Dave Ramsey's youth entrepreneur programs. I connected with GCU, and these kids are learning what a profit loss statement is. They're learning how to market their programs, and they've started programs. They started businesses. And so when they're done, they have something to lay back on. And unfortunately, many of these young men think they're going to go to the NFL, NBA, MLB. They think they're going there, but statistics show very few do. And so for me, it's so important that we as men, number one, we build our community, build our families, and connect with our families. Be the men that God has called us to be. I do this thing called Pump and Praise. I bring men together on a Saturday morning. We hear the word of God, and we train together. The whole purpose, and this is 309 coming up, the whole purpose of that is bringing men together, letting them express themselves, and building community. And I think that's what's missing. And so for me, the most important thing that we can do as men is share, care, and develop those younger than we are.
What would you say to like athletes who transition out of the sport and then kind of struggle with that purpose? Like, so this is not 7th, 8th grade. So 13, 14 years old, about to go into high school. And I definitely want to talk about that. But for guys who don't have the foundations that you're building, that you're sort of like instilling into young guys now so that they have stronger footing and something to fall back on when they're done. You're right. Statistically, it's like a very, very fraction of a percentage of people who make it at the highest level. There are a lot of options overseas, there are alternative leagues and all that kind of stuff. But still, the number of people who go into the sport and the number of people who get paid by the sport is very different. And then there's NIL. So we'll get there too.
Right.
But for the guys right now, and again, this is just one example.
Yeah.
But these are guys who played at the highest level.
Yeah.
Who did win the chips. Who did get the big contracts.
Yeah.
And still talk about depressive states when it's done.
Oh man.
Like, what do you say to guys like that after they have achieved it all and then go, hey man, when I transitioned out of the sport, it was tough.
And I'm an athlete. I played football in Indiana. And so the reason I can speak about this because I lived it. I thought I was going to go pro. I thought all these different things. And I had a major back injury that caused me not to play again. And so I decided to do something I love to do and make a living for it. I love to train. I love to work out. And so I decided I figured a way to do that. You know, I worked for the U.S. Army for 4 years. I was training troops. I was enjoying that piece, and then I started training athletes. But when I see my athlete, when I see my boys play, when I see a kid like Koa Peat or Oso Ighodaro play, I know I have something to do that because I train them, and I feel like I'm still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do. I make good money doing it, but it's not about the money. It's about the lives that changed, and it helps build me up and helps me keep motivated doing what I do because I know I'm serving someone and I'm blessing them, but I'm still in the game. I love the game, you know, and seeing my son Desmond, seeing him doing the same thing. You know, Desmond came from a part where, you know, he probably was the best athlete of the family, but he decided that he really didn't want to go that way. And now some of the things that he hated to do, he's training people to do. And it's amazing to see how God used that experience to create his career. And he's very good at it. So from my advice to anybody, like a guy that's high level, you know, find something you love to do and you can make a living doing it. And listen, I'm the kind of guy that, hey, listen, number one, I don't want to work for someone. I want to be the man in charge. And so when you develop a skill set that you are good at, you can create your own wealth. And it's possible for anybody. There's so many different types of like with the technology now, and you know the young adults now they're all locked into technology, you know. And I think utilizing that and doing something you love to do and being able to get paid for it.
What do you feel like, and Des, you can answer this too, like what is it that athletes are like missing today, like on the journey?
Hope.
Tell me more.
They feel like that's all they got. And if they don't achieve a certain level, there's no hope. And then when there's no hope, there's no energy. And so they may go to something that they shouldn't go to fulfill that need, whether it be a female or drugs, you know, or doing something that is not elevating their life and is short-lived. You know, I'll tell you a story. And this is a kid. I was the head coach. I had strength coach at Grand Canyon for several years, and I had a kid. He was 6'10", 280. His father played in the NFL. His body was like a Greek god,
a
specimen, and you know he looked like Tarzan but played like Jane on the court.
Wow.
And but he got better. But at the end of the day, that was it for his career. And so he was a business major, and I think he was pretty good in business. But I would never forget walking in the Fry's, and I see him at the cash register, and he saw me and turned his head quick. He was embarrassed because he knew his potential, and he didn't live out his potential. I tell my men, and you'll know this, there's two pains in your life. An injury you get over, regret you don't. And I know he regretted the fact that he didn't put in the work that he needed to put in. And now that's his result.
So that's a big thing. I had Trevin Wade, and I asked him, I was like, how good does somebody actually need to be to make it at the highest level? And he was like, they actually don't have to be that good. You need to have a baseline of talent. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can't be running up and down. We were talking about this offline. You can't be running up and down the 94-foot court and not be. You're running a 5K almost every game. You can't be conditioned. That's just par for the course. You've got to be able to put the ball in the basket. Like that's just par for the course. You need a base standard of skills, but you don't. There might be some genetics with elite talent and how high you can jump and things of that sort. But he was like, I mean, you can have like above average talent, but a lot of it is work ethic.
And consistency, yeah.
would you speak to like what's the reality of that? Because again, a lot of young kids is like you even said, it's like it's not the outside issues that are the problem. Most of the challenges are inside.
Yeah, amen. It's true.
Like what would you say to that?
Man, the thing is that, a lot of guys, get in the league. You're lucky. Well, yeah, he probably is, because hard work and opportunity, that's luck. And consistency and hard work, your habits tell you a lot about who you are. In my prep school, I have the kids make their bed 21 straight days. 21 straight days.
Form a habit.
To form a habit. And one of my guys is going to reach 100 days as of this week, the end of school. Damien, it shows he's the best kid on the court. He shows up on time. He works his butt off. He's consistent in everything he does. He's a 4.0 student. And I have others that go 20 days and forget a day. Because in my school, if you forget a day, you got to start over. And it tells me when they start over, if they finish, that says, oh, they made a mistake, they missed a day, but then we're gonna make up for it. You can see it on the court. It's the same thing. The kids that don't finish are the kids that don't hit the line, take a shortcut, looking for a way out, making excuses. But the ones that have habits, consistent habits, and most of those kids, there's a couple not, but most of those kids have a father in their life that are with them, that are locked in and have strong mothers.
So what have you seen in kids who don't have fathers? What helps them sort of get over that gap?
Somebody that's there for them, a mentor. It's hard to make it on your own. And then you put that and couple that with a relationship with God, that puts them on the right path. And I've seen that. And but there's an innate thing about it, though. Some kids are just fighters, and they just overcome different things. And we know all the stories. There's so many stories in all the sports of fatherless young men that we've been able to overcome. But why does it have to be? It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm talking to the men, man. Like, let's step up. Let's be the men that God called us to be. Hey, listen, if you grew up and you didn't have the type of father that you believe you wanted, be that guy. Use that as your template on what you want.
Yeah. So what would you tell, what's the first step that you would give to young athletes when they're faced with so many, I don't want to use a temptation. They have a lot of opportunity. NIL has created opportunity in this season, in this sort of like age that we're in right now, unlike any time before.
Yeah.
Right. In a lot of cases, like big institutions are making tons of money on the backs of the talent of very, very young kids who they're not sharing a lot of that profit with.
Yes.
And now there's been legislation to change that. And obviously I know that's an ongoing conversation, but it's kind of the Wild West right now.
Yeah, it is.
But regardless of that, kids at an ever younger and younger are being presented with opportunities, right? That are very, very enticing. And when you say like, oftentimes there are gaps in the home, right? And even if you do have all your parents, homes aren't perfect because humans aren't.
Even with parents, yeah.
Exactly, because humans aren't perfect.
Yeah.
So what do you tell a guy, girl, athlete who is presented with all these opportunities? How do they make good decisions? What are some of the like principles that they should keep in mind to sort of navigate this new terrain that they're traveling?
Well, I have 4 principles of life that every person should adopt. And this is not necessarily answering your question, but if you have these 4 characteristics, I think you're going to make the right decision, right? Number 1, play. If you're not having fun, why even do it, right? Number 2 is make somebody's day. Serve, give. The Bible says, give and it will be given unto you. Press down, shaking together, and it will spill over. There's a selfish generation. And so when you talk about NIL and you have all this money, a lot of times if you didn't have money, you're just going to hold on to it or spend it frivolously because you haven't had. You got to have people in your house. You've got people in your corner that understand that and help you navigate that. And those people have to have these same characteristics. Play, right? Make somebody's day. Choose the right attitude.
That's good.
And a lot of times, like you talked about, you don't have to be the best athlete, but if you have a great attitude, you're coachable. A lot of times you could be even with some other player athletically, but because of your attitude and your habits and your consistency, you're gonna shine and overcome more and be selected. And the last thing is be there, be present.
That's good.
J. Cole has that song, "Pride is the devil." I say the phone is the devil. It's got a hold on all them kids. And that will give you information that will steer you left or right. Whether it be what other people are doing, how to make a quick dollar, whatever it is. However, I just believe if you have those, you play and you make somebody's day, you choose the right attitude, and you are there, present, I think those things will help navigate someone, a young athlete who has an NIL opportunity. Being faithful and loyal, two words that are lost today. I don't know why they passed that transfer portal where you can go anywhere, anytime. There was a time where you could only make one choice, you could transfer once, and that's it. And I think that may be coming back, but there's no loyalty or faithfulness.
Yeah, I think people have lost and I think it's something you have to learn, but even the idea of there's this concept of the time value of money and how interest compounds and the idea of sticking with something, loyalty, time, invested. It's often in the beginning, you can't see the results. It's the same thing like being in the weight room.
That's really good.
You can't see the results in the beginning.
Yeah.
But over time,
come on now,
it compounds. And the idea is an exponential.
I love that. Yeah.
It's if you fold a piece of paper in half and then half and then half and then in half, when you get to number 64, it reaches way into the sky.
Yeah.
By just folding a piece of paper. If you could
got you. Yeah.
But the idea of compounding is just not something that it's one, just not something that we're trained to really understand. But we often discount the value of just sticking with a thing over time.
That's a good point. I made a mistake of someone telling me how to get into my 401k and see my investments. and I hadn't done this forever since I've had my investments, but now I have it. Technology allows me to go in. I can see every day it go up and down, right? Mm-hmm. But you're right. By sticking with it, because there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to have an injury. You're going to be setback, or someone comes in and takes your spot, and you got to fight for it. There's always something that's going to happen that's going to push you back. But if you stay in it long enough, i.e., I put 80,000, now I'm over 600. I'm telling you, that's life.
That is life.
It's like jumping rope, man. You jump rope, you start jumping, and you're gonna go good flow, and man, everything's right, and then all of a sudden, boom, you trip and you stop. Life's like that. But do you stop jumping? No, you just keep going, and you get better, and you get more efficient at it, right?
And the big piece is that people don't understand the value that accrues by staying with something over time, the skills you learn, the relationships that you build, the way that all those things compound. And the idea of compounding is just, it's newer, right? It's just not a familiar term. I didn't grow up understanding the idea of compounding. And now with a transfer portal, it's just when something gets hard, now I'm just getting shopped around.
Yeah.
And then not even realizing there's a guy, Jay Williams, he talks about this. Some of the people that are shopping them around are taking, 4 or 5 times the amount from that money that is supposed to be setting up these kids to create something generational.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to have someone in your camp that understands that and that you can trust and respect, and I know several athletes that are going through the portal and how they're negotiating and how they're working on getting their money, which is kind of crazy to me because I know when I played, man, we were eating ramen noodles and dollar meat from Circle K, but it's a challenge because these kids have all this money now and how to handle it and you have these handlers that not every athlete but a lot of them have these handlers that are really kind of navigating them through this thing and not giving the right information and at the end of the day they may not be as fruitful as they could be.
Yeah, that's tough. Des, what have you seen you're on the training side, like you're training them on the court, and I was telling you about a friend of mine who has a son, wants to get in the ball. What do you see from kids who come in and don't have necessarily the talent background? What makes the difference when you're seeing progress in their journey? What is it that they're doing that other people aren't?
First off, the difference is, how bad they want it. And I think their upbringing too. There's a lot of entitlement when it comes to training and developing your game. There's a lot of individuals that might think they're better than they are. But I think the ones that really humble themselves and see the big picture of, I want to go somewhere, I want to take this seriously, and I want to do this as a job, I think a lot of individuals, it's recreational and it's seasonal. But the ones that really take it serious at a young age, they, see the fruits of their labor.
How do you get a kid who's 8? Well, 12
Yeah.
to see something that for up to that point has largely been play. I want to go outside and I want to shoot. I got to go hanging up in the off the bathroom door or whatever. I'm just shooting ball at the house to, okay, now this is supposed to be a job. And again, I'm 11, 12. I don't even know what a job is. Then basketball is supposed to be a job. How do you get them there?
This day and age with social media, they take it so serious so early. If you don't jump on it when you're 8 or 7 or 9, you're going to be behind. When I was growing up or even before that, it was so late. You could play 2-3 sports. You could show up to freshman tryouts and, do well if you're athletic. But now kids are working all year for one sport. And all they dream about is going to the NBA, NFL, MLB, or even going to college and making millions of dollars. That's the new overseas, in my opinion. Instead of just going straight to the NBA or professionally,
that's a good
going
point.
to college, getting an education. And the guys that make a lot of money, they are loyal. The guys that return and come back, or they're just unbelievable players and they transfer. But I think a lot of it has to do with social media and following. Like you were saying, the talent, is X, but I feel like with your social media following, image and likeness, that's where the money is going insane. Because you don't have to be the best player on the team. I went to Grand Canyon and there's guys on the bench making X, 5 figures, and then not even playing. And then you got guys on the court that are making
$1 million.
$1 million.
That's pretty wild.
So you got guys making 90 to 100 that aren't playing. Then you got guys making 100 or 500 that maybe get in the game. Then it's 500 to $1 million to guys that are on the court. But this is at a low Division I school, and this is at an arena that only sits X amount, and they can only bring in X amount of money. So think about how big ASU can get, or if you go to U of A, or those schools are insane. So even me going to GCU this year opened my eyes to an unbelievable atmosphere, beautiful campus, beautiful arena, unbelievable fans. But the amount of money that they're able to pay these players to play there is unreal. Because that's not you walk in there and it's, it's the best high school gym probably in Texas. You go to Texas and GCU.
Everything in Texas is big.
GCU's arena is probably the standard of, the high-end gyms in Texas or, these bigger states. So, I feel like we're getting spoiled here in Arizona. Arizona's becoming a new hotbed for talent, tournaments, games, events. So So, I mean, it's been great to be in Arizona, but for these younger players that are entitled, it's going to be really hard.
So it begs the same question. So just like those pro guys who played in the league, played at a high level, it's like college has become a new form of pro, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, because NIL's coming down younger and younger, you can start to create a following younger and younger. I mean, you get parents now managing accounts for like kids younger than 10 because they can handle, they can shoot, and now everybody wants.
I got a kid that's seventh grade, and he has 3 D1 offers already for football. It's
like
crazy.
that soon, and you're already.
It's because
it's essentially pro.
It's because of social media, and people see, and he has talent, and so, you know, colleges recognize that first one in has a better opportunity to grab these kids and develop that relationship.
But it's not a new development. Like,
no,
we know about artists, Justin Bieber, who just got off Coachella and making a resurgence. A bunch of other ones, Lil Yachty, a number of them started really, really young. They were teenagers. Lil Wayne, way back, they started young. It's almost like Kobe or LeBron or anybody getting drafted right into the league. Like, you start making millions because you have talent, right? The concern then becomes that happens sooner and sooner. We've seen some one-hit wonders, somebody make millions in the beginning, but then they stop, then what happens, right? You hit this like depressive state. And the same thing can happen in college. There's this article I read where now you have NIL athletes going through, 1, 2, 3, 4 years of college making bank. Then they graduate. Nobody's calling them anymore. No offers anymore. Revenue stopped. And who knows what they did, because if they don't have the right people with them to help them understand, like, hey, if you do this and get these kind of returns, you can live off of this for a long, long time. Right. I mean, virtually forever, right? If you make the equivalent of $1 million and you put that away in a certain way, that you can live off that million forever,
And that's all about knowledge. About them knowing that, and how do they know that?
And not living large, but again, like, you can make an $80,000 salary off of $1 million, like, just off of the interest of it. Right. So even thinking about things like that, when they get to that place where the money stops, like, what do you see then? Like, have you seen athletes sort of reach back out? Like, how does your relationship sort of like sustain or persist, like, when basketball stops or when they stop receiving those checks?
In my world, it's me reaching out. I'm done, and I'm probably feeling a little bit off, or feeling maybe embarrassed because I didn't get to the place where we thought we were going to get to. And just being there for those athletes has been one of the things that I've been called to do. Or also alert them before it happens. That's the key. Alert them before it happens. I was talking to a guy who plays on the Brooklyn Nets, and he has everything he needs, man, financially, but he is afraid to stop because he doesn't know what he wants to do. And my recommendation is, dude, do what you love to do. Good looking guy, you speak well. I mean, dude, should be a platform. This is my message to all these young men. Let your sport be a platform for doing what you love to do. Now, you love to play basketball, but there's other avenues of basketball. You can coach, you can do video. I had a kid in my school that, man, he's only played a couple years, but he's really good, but he doesn't love the game. But he found a camera at his house that his dad had, and it was a nice camera, and he didn't even know he had it. And he's taking this camera, and now he's video our games. He's doing that. And the day we have a game tomorrow, and the guy said, "Hey man, aren't you gonna play?" He goes, "No, man, I'm doing the photography." And he's found something that he loves to do outside of the game, and now I'm helping him make it a business for himself.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That what are these guys doing? Number one, if they don't have a desire to do anything, man, they need someone in their life to help them understand and realize what they got, and using that platform. Because as an athlete, you're told when to go to class, you're told when to go to practice, you're told what to eat, you're told how much sleep you need. If you're ever injured, they're going to take care of you real quick so they can get you back out there. It's not always because we care. It's because we need you out there. And sometimes they're out there playing hurt. And that has long-lasting effects.
Yeah, it does.
And so we are, and a lot of colleges are figuring it out, and they have programs for after you play. But do the guys go? Do they think ahead and say, no, I don't know, I ain't going. I'm going to go chill, watch a game, play some video games. I'm not going to learn about my future. Well, that's a choice. The tools are out there for everybody. It's whether you want to use them or not.
Yeah, that's good. What are you seeing right now when it comes to like young athletes and the way that they're pursuing, sort of like professional, I would say professionality, but professionalism. Like they're trying to treat, again, something that's supposed to be play like a job, but they're 12. Like, how do you teach them the kinds of habits, focus? They still need to go to school. They still need to get certain grades. Like, there's still a process to it. And you've seen this from, again, preteens through like professionals. Like, how do you help the two? Like, how do you help someone that young understand, like, hey, at the highest level, this is what's required.
Right.
But these are the steps that you take right now to put yourself in the best position to even be on that trajectory.
Yeah, and I hate to keep going back to the foundation, but a lot of it's the parents and how they're being brought up. It's the false sense of reality of, if I don't do well at basketball, I don't do well at anything. And having something that, you love to do and something you're passionate about outside of that, it's a great balance. You need to have a balance. Like, you need to have other passions, other things that you're into that is an outlet that complements you playing basketball. You're going to get burnt out. You're young. And even for these older guys, they don't always want to be in the gym. They want to have a life and they want to do stuff because their life has been the gym. So at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of immaturity, insecurity, and just people being uneducated. Like, you can work hard in an hour and get as much done as you do in 5 hours. If you do it right, if you have a purpose, if you're strategic, and if you're consistent. Working out 5 times a week for an hour is better than working out 10 times for 5 hours. Because in that 5 hours, you're going to talk, hang out, be on your phone, take breaks, water, all the things that you don't need to be doing, just like outside. Have a focus, have direction, and have purpose. And a lot of these kids don't. They play in X amount of tournaments to get seen when you're only, whether 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I tell my son all the time, I want you to be the best when you're in 12th grade. When you're graduating, you should be the best in the state, not right now. But I do have a kid that is his age that is so nonchalant, but he's probably the best guard in the state. And it's one of those things where I feel like he has a good balance and a good structure and people around him that don't. Basketball is some part of their life, but the foundation of their life is Christ. And they have great people around them. And it's not always about basketball, but their life is basketball, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like our life is basketball, but it's not always about basketball. Like, me and my brothers, we don't really talk about basketball too much. We talk about it. We talk about the game, stats, highlights, everything's that are going on in the NBA, overseas. But it's more, personal, and it's more genuine, and it's more relational rather than transactional or how many points you score. You need to not turn the ball over. Because all that stuff is great, but it's just a game.
Yeah.
It's just a game.
When you guys were talking, it just came to me, and your questions of what do you do and how do you help a kid that's this 12-year-old or even high school, college. But what I've come to find out is that we need to help the parents.
Yeah.
And, I've learned a lot this year putting this middle school, prep school together. I found that a lot of things that the kids are dealing with is a reflection on what they're hearing at home. And if the parents are talking about a certain kid or a team or something that happened, and the kids are ear hustling all the time, and then they come into the school a certain way, it's because of what they've heard at home. And so my goal and my focus in this next year 2 of our school, is to include the parents and communicate to the parents and help teach the parents what they're learning so it can be reflected back at home. So I'm gonna have the parents make their bed and send a picture. but again, it's like sometimes the damage has been done and there's a little that you can do unless there's a major life change. And sometimes what happens is maybe an injury or a death in the family or something that gives them that finally moment where finally I want to get my stuff together and think right and think about my future. However, I think if we as a community, as people, connect with parents, because there's kids having kids. And it's not their fault because they probably grew up and were taught a certain way. And so that's why I believe that parents need coaching. They need help.
I've got 3, and raising kids, you realize like, oh, parents need to be raised too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's why the village is so important, because you have people who are older than you.
Right.
Like they're older parents than you. They've done it longer. So it's almost like having an older sibling.
Yeah,
and you come into this world of parenting, brand new, infant. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
And it takes a 6-year-old parent, an 8-year-old parent, a 12-year-old parent, a 25-year-old parent to go, oh, hey, it's going to be all right. Like, don't worry about it. Don't get too. I tell people all the time now, we had twins first. And and we just didn't understand the gravity of what that felt like. But sometimes after the case, you just go, after having a third, you go, oh, you know what? And it's like this for every first parent. But you realize after you have the second child, the third child, you're going like, oh, I definitely was like hyper anxious because in large cases, you're just like, man, I don't want anything to happen.
Right.
And you're just like, it's all survival mode. But you don't realize like the mentality is often what will crush you. Like postpartum depression is a real thing because there's a lot of stuff happening in your body for men, in your mind of like, am I good enough? I was talking to a friend of mine. People talk about imposter syndrome. And he was like, oh, I don't deal with that. I was like, no, I think everybody does. He goes, no, I don't. I go, parenting? He goes, oh, well, it gets everybody. There's a point where you feel inadequate and you're like, I don't know if I can keep this baby alive. Right. And there are thoughts that you have in your mind. You're like, am I supposed to have that thought?
I don't know about that. I'm keeping my baby alive. I ain't never had that thought. Again, I'm keeping my baby alive.
Of course, you're keeping your baby alive from a survival perspective. I'm not going to let anything happen to my baby. But you're just thinking, like, again, we had twins. One of our babies was underweight. You're just like, man, why aren't things working? It's that kind of thing. We're like, am I going to actually be able to do this?
And like you said earlier, it's like experience. Like after the first, after the second,
exactly.
You become more.
But when you don't have the experience, you need the person who does have the experience to say it's going to be okay. Just stay the course.
And that's where he's getting at with his seminar called "Get a Clue," because most parents have that resource right in front of them, but they're too naive, or they have pride.
Or lazy.
Which is the devil.
Yeah.
And they don't use that resource because from my perspective, he comes across people every day. I'm nobody. But at the end of the day, he's been there and done that. And you have individuals that are coming to you and saying, I want my body to look like this, or I want to get more in shape, or my goal is to get to the next level. Well, is that really your goal? Is that really something that you want to do? Is that really something that you want to sign up for? Because parents will sign up for the workout, but they don't want to sign up for the lifestyle. So you can sign up for my class, but you'll never be able to live this life.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's you pick or choose, because we only know one way to do it, and it's worked. So when he's coming and starting a whole school, and he has to ask people to make their beds and remind them, that's something that the parents didn't teach from day one. 1 + 1 is 2. When you're asked to do something, you do it. So if you don't and there's hesitation, then we got to backtrack a long time. And that's when we have to have a meeting with the parents. But the parents think they got it together because they found a program that works and they don't have to do any work anymore. The work is never done as a parent, right or wrong. The work is never done as a parent. So dropping them off and picking them up, I will never co-sign. It's the in-between. When they go home, are you holding them accountable for the same things we are? And then when they fall short and you're not holding them accountable, it's our fault because they didn't reach that standard criteria or meet the standards that you're looking for. I think not.
So you're saying that an athlete's success is largely a partnership between their trainer and their parents.
If it's their choice, because some parents think they got it figured out. And if you do, I mean, God bless you. And when your kid makes it, you did it. Great job. But if you're coming from a perspective of I'm unsure, I need help, and lack of experience, like with your first twins instead of your third child.
Anybody's first kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have the resource, use it the right way. Don't just drop off and pick up. Ask questions. What should he be doing at home? What extracurriculars should he be doing outside of what you have in place? Because then I take you even more serious. So when you come to me, I know everything you've done up to this point. So if you fall short, you have more of a leash. Just like in life, when you show up every day, if something doesn't go right, they're not going to be like, damn. They're going to be like, are you okay? Do you need help? But you did some of the work. You did some of the groundwork. Back to his point, lazy. So I think the parents are more lazy than the kids are.
There's two elements to commitment: desire and action. And a lot of kids and parents have a desire, but they lack the action piece for an extended period of time. May be good for a week, 2 weeks, then go to a tournament, don't have a good tournament. Oh, maybe I need a new trainer.
Team, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, faithfulness and commitment, when you have those two things, when you're faithful to something, you're committed to it, I if I had a tattoo, and I'm not getting one, but if I had put I'd put an equation: faith plus trust equals peace. If you have faith in something, you're going to trust it, and you're going to have peace. And a lot of parents do not have peace because they don't have faith and trust in the system.
And you're a big numbers guy. I mean, just do your homework. As a parent, do your homework.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to sign someone up for something or inquire with the trainer, who have they trained? Have they gotten them to this place? Have they done right by them? Are they pouring into them other than just training them? Do your homework, because then you wouldn't have any questions. It would just make sense.
How do parents do homework? Like, where do they go look? How do they get that information?
I mean, for me, it's do you want the best for your kid? Like if I'm talking to a parent, you're gonna find what's best for your kid if you're really invested. And if your kid loves the game so much, there's very few far and in between that are doing things with a spirit of excellence. So it's not gonna be that hard to find a professional in our craft. There's many of them.
But I'll tell you what's really missing is that, and Desmond, you hit it right on the head. Like how many parents or fathers, even moms, go home and watch game film? Like when I train my athletes, I actually videotape them and show them the exercise so they can see, because they're visual. They can see exactly what they're doing. And by looking at that, you learn and then you adapt and change, right? But I don't know many young adults, they're watching videos of other people. But look at video. I mean, the video don't lie. The tape don't lie. And so I think, if I had a suggestion for a parent, found a good trainer, you go, why don't you just videotape some of the training sessions and see how hard they work? Just go talk about that first. Are you working hard? Are you able to execute the skills that have been given to you? I know in my world, in the performance training, I tell my guys, I do an end of year evaluation, and part of my evaluation is discipline and hard work and system. Have you created a system for yourself based upon what you've learned? Before you get on the court, you should be 5 minutes into the game. You should be sweating. So is it jump rope, ankle mobs, hip mobility, hydration? Boom, gone. Are you doing these things on a kids? Or are you just looking at the game down the hall on the other court, looking at somebody that you saw on Instagram, and now get down to go. Let me get my shoes on. You ain't ready. You need to be 5 minutes in the game before the game even starts, because the first 5 minutes you're turning the ball over because you're not ready.
When you talked about parents watching film with their kids, that one stuck out to me, because I've been able to interview. I used to play in a competitive league, men's league. I'm not sure what you call it, but we used to meet 5 a.m. At Redemption Tempe, and there some former pros former pros. Some of them were still playing, but I've had an opportunity to have conversations with them, and both of them the two that I've had conversations with have transitioned out of the sport, and are doing well. One's a firefighter. One is pursuing professional golf. Whether he'll become a professional golfer specifically, but he's like pursuing like that avenue. And golf is like exploding, especially like in our communities.
Right.
Where in the past that just wasn't a thing that we grew up doing, and now like see more of us in the sport is like great. Yeah, it's way more normal. Yeah. And now LeBron's out there swinging and keeping us.
It's the new age brothers.
It's the new vibe. But both of them talked about film, like watching film. So one, Jeremy Davis, he talked about like when he was coming up, he would watch film of other guys who had similar builds as him.
Okay.
So he can learn how his game can model theirs. Right. Based on, again, like an understanding of his body. He's like, I'm a bigger receiver. Yeah. I need to watch other big receivers and see like how they make it happen so I can model my game after them.
Right. That's what I would call the beginner stages of watching film. Yeah. Go ahead.
But then the other one, T. Wade, he talked about when he played, his dad used to keep film, and then after every game would show him what he did, and then would say, like, even when they played well, there were still places where it's like, well, you did great. It went into overtime, but if you look here, had this not happened or that not happened, it wouldn't even have gone into overtime. Well, so that kind of accountability when you talk about like watching film, watching yourself and watching yourself move and being able to complete the skills and do the skills that you're being taught.
This is the tough part of that. Deal. This is the tough part. And I stopped coaching them when they were 10 because I couldn't do it because my focus would always be on them. Mm-hmm. And it was tough. For parents, timing's everything. Especially when you're watching film. It's how you watch it. And you don't even you watch it, you don't even have to say anything because your son or daughter is watching it and they know what they see. But it's all about relationship. If you have a relationship with your son or daughter in a way where you can provide feedback that is helpful and not construction and not damaging. And that's a fine line when you have a young adult, like a 7th or 8th grader that's truly trying to prove himself anyway. And I'll tell you this, there's 3 phases of life with parents. Mom and dad know everything. Mom and dad know nothing. I wish mom and dad were around so I could ask. Mm. And that middle one is like going from junior high to probably till they're almost an adult. Now Desmond's spitting knowledge to me. Marcus and George, they spit knowledge to me. I'm learning from them now. And because the relationship is good and we're respectful of each other's opinions, and information. And so the relationship has to be right because some parents I see, man, I wouldn't want them telling me anything either.
And it's also what does the kid want? Like as a parent, when you go to them for film, it's do you want to get better? Do you want to go to the next level? This is something that professionals do. I think if implementing it now, you can be more professional yourself. And if you really want to take the next step in your game, this is something that is a tool. It's almost like studying for a test. If you want to go anywhere, with your academics, or if you want to pass and go to the next grade, I look at this as passing and going to the next grade. Each game, each tournament. I don't have an excessive amount of film for my son, but we go over when we work out, I video it, when we do different things. And he sees, and I check him because we have that relationship and he understands I'm not going to do it unless he tells me this is what he wants to do.
That's good.
I'm never going to tell him what to do. I'm going to help him, guide him, and provide the information for him to make the right for him to make the right decision in life. But I never want my son or a parent in that fact should never want their child to do something that they want to do. So if it's something that the child wants to do, as the parent, I'm here to help you get there as quickly, as efficiently, and as kindly, softly, without as much pain as it's going to cost you doing it on your own. But if this is something that you want to do, this is a necessity. And if the kid doesn't understand that, then they really don't want to do it. Because if they're not meeting, the expectations of the parent, the team, or of themselves, then there needs to be some breakdown, which is film, which is going back and working on it, correcting, critiquing. So I would just say for a parent, if there's any pushback, it's not for them. Until they're ready to come to you and say, listen, I'm not where I need to be. Because my son will ask me all the time, Dad, what do I need to get better at? Hey, what should I do on offense? What should I do on defense? Why? Because he trusts and he knows that it's going to work if he listens. But if your kid doesn't trust you, they're going to have an attitude. They're going to have pushback. They're not going to respect you. And nobody's perfect. Like, of course, mine have attitudes as well, but it's within reason. When he makes a mistake, of course he gets down on himself. And I can't, give a double negative and beat a dead dog when he's down. But at the same time, hours later or in the evening, hey, Dad, what do you think I should have done better at practice? Do you really want to know? Yeah. No. Be real with me.
Yeah.
Because he knows. Okay. Well, I think you were trash city today. I think you were in the city. Gives me a little smile. Instead of an attitude, he knows I'm going to come correct. Because at the end of the day,
the relationship.
Yeah. So those phases that he talked about, we all go through them. I had the stage where I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
But as you mature, and I'll give this note to any young man or young lady or whatever, when you understand that your parents know everything, that's when you matured. That's my opinion. When you have a real relationship with your parents or with someone that's raised you or poured into your life, and you understand that you don't know anything, and even if you are right, but you ask them first because you thought you were wrong, you're right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's the relationship.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to all the parents, have a better relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
Straight up.
That's good advice. What would you, I got 2 questions and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
You're good. Who's an athlete that that you've seen that's done it really well, that you would point other athletes to and go, hey, this is a good model.
I'll say first, because I always tell him this all the time. He gets no credit for all the athletes that he's trained. I'm still very premature in the game. I've had a couple players that have been through trials and tribulations to the NBA, college, and have made it. But I feel like he has so many stories of guys that he's trained. I mean, we had a meeting this morning and I looked past them and they just got knocked out of the playoffs. Of course, Oso's his guy since Desert Vista. Like, no one knew who he was. No one believed in him. Even his club team didn't play him like that. Nobody. Went to Marquette. I don't know if it's because of Marcus, but long story short, he has poured into these guys' lives. And I'm starting to see that the guys that really, truly buy in to the faith portion and not just the basketball and training portion, those are the ones that really turn the corner. Like, I trained Oso when he was at Desert Vista. I trained Oso before he went to Marquette. Not as much as now with the Suns, but he always knew.
I have the pictures.
Yeah, yeah. Between me, but he always knew, and he sees it. So when you have that feeling and that connection and that relationship, no matter how far they go, you already feel like you won. So I've had a lot of guys that have done great things, but he could probably tell you a lot more than I could.
Well, who's one? You could both.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
Koa Peat. Koa, I've trained him since he was a sophomore in high school. And, when you train these athletes, and you've been around lots of them, you're always waiting for the ball to drop where they just leave or unfaithful to the training or you as a person. But Koa's the kind of kid, man, that I was always looking for that, and it never came. Great family. Father was a past chaplain, played in the NFL. His brothers all D1 athletes. But the thing about Koa that is different than any other athlete I've really trained, never has said anything bad about anybody. Like, and he knows and I know there have been players that he's played with and people that have really not right. But he would never say anything. I was always waiting for that. And I'd kind of draw some in to see where he'd go with it, and never said anything bad about it.
And I think the outside looking in for me is he's been true to the family from the beginning. Like, our relationships are organic. Yeah. That's the difference between us. Like, our relationships don't come from, a guy's doing well or a guy's going somewhere and we reach out. That's not who we are. That's never who we've been, and that's not who we will ever be. My dad's trained all his brothers. Koa is probably the youngest or one of the youngest. I don't know how many more siblings, but I mean, he's been true to the family, and that's why it's so true. And Koa knows that. Koa's not dumb. He knows people come and go in his life like the seasons or the days of the week. This man is more loyal than the word loyal. And that's where the difference is. So it's great to train great players or to see players go to the NBA or do great things. But the foundation that no one will know is the relationship and the person that he is, who he's raised me to be, our family. And that's why it's sustained. It's not for a short amount of time. I mean, I've been doing my business now for almost 11 years. He's been doing this before I've been born. So we love what we do, but we love who we do it for.
Oh, that's great. So with that in mind, and you both could like speak to this, but for young athletes, seasoned athletes who have transitioned out, athletes who are going in, what would you say is the, and you've probably already said it, but just to sort of reinforce, like, what's the one thing, if they don't get anything else from this conversation, it's like, hey, if you can get this right, like, you're going to put yourself in the best position, whether you stay in the sport or not, you're going to put yourself in the best position to succeed.
This game is afforded all of us so many things, and it can get you to a place where you become so lazy and entitled that you feel like everything's going to come to you and you don't have to go get it. I would say my biggest word of advice to any player that's leaving the game or doesn't have the opportunity that they deserve maybe at the time, and they have to maybe get a job or maybe think about taking a break or whatever, don't be lazy. Go get it and don't wait for someone to give it to you. Like, I remember when Marcus went to Marquette, and Marcus is the farthest thing from lazy, but I could not believe how much stuff they just get. They get a laptop, they get private flights, they get food, and he doesn't need any of that. And he's unbelievable. What I'm saying is having that type of lifestyle and having things just given to you, whether it's sponsorships in the NBA or just free stuff after the game, when all that's gone and you're just looking for that stuff, instead of saying like, I'm going to go out and work hard or, pave my own way, that's not basketball, that's tough. So in general, I would say don't be lazy, have a goal or a plan in mind. I mean, he has these 7th graders with a power washing service, the sticky stuff that goes under your shoes. What else do they have? They did the camera. I mean, the businesses that they did, if I did that in 7th or 8th grade, my mind would be so different. I probably would have made money before I even went to college, just working, $20 here, $50 there. I mean, that mindset so early will set you up in life to become a millionaire, to become a boss, to become a CEO. And some of those kids that aren't playing basketball, I can see it in them. Like Carter, I bet you he's going to be successful. Just his wit about him and everything, like the way he's raised his parents, and But I don't know. What would you say?
I would say be selfless and unselfish. Give. That's the thing. Like, when you give, you really receive. Everybody's holding on to what they got instead of giving what they have with no strings attached. When that's in your heart and your spirit, you become attractive and things start happening for you. That's my big thing is our generation, this next generation needs to learn how to give and be selfless and get a clue. Get a clue. Like, life it's not about you. It's not all about you. And if you get that right, then the doors of opportunity just open up. But when you hold on to everything you got like it's your last, that's when you stifle your blessing. So,
yeah, that's great. Last thing, where do people find out more information about you? I didn't do like a specific intro, so we could do that. But like, where if people want to find out more, or if parents watch this and are like, yo, I want to connect with these dudes, like, how do I find you? Like, what's the best way?
LOC Training, and also Chuck Howard. You just hit me up, 480-452-3850.
There we go.
Yeah, we're both. We have an unbelievable partnership with Iron Courts, so that's where we're training at currently. Of course, my business is called League Me LLC. And yeah, I appreciate you having it.
Yeah, it's been a blessing.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you, James.
Yes, sir.